Howdy, I'm Jim Arado, and that guy at the front of the bus that you see right there, that's Reverend Bill. And this is a video I took just not too long ago in 2019, and this is a bus trip we took from I think they call that the Fort Hays Dinner Show Theater in near Rapid City, South Dakota. Yeah, again, this is a bus trip we took. That's Reverend Bill. He was our bus driver / guide. He was a lot of fun. And I am again going to talk through most of this because I wasn't thinking that much about the audio at the time. So my audio's not that great. Also, I kind of feel like whatever Reverend Bill says is his thing. You should go out to South Dakota and take his bus tour because it is great. I'll tease you a little bit with showing you some of the video I took while on the bus tour, but the jokes that Reverend Bill tells, I think those are his own. I might stop talking towards the end of this video and play a little bit of what he had to say because he was a really funny guy, and by the end of this bus tour, I was laughing so hard that I was crying. I'm not kidding. I was crying. I was laughing so hard. Anyway, Bill took us around. He showed us all the sights to see around Mount Rushmore. We went to Crazy Horse Monument, Custer State Park. We saw quite a bit. I believe this was about, from the time we got to Fort Hays to the time we left, was probably 12 hours. I want to say this trip was also maybe $100, a little bit less than $100. And from an economic standpoint, that's a pretty good value when you consider what all you got with it. I know when we did our trip in 2012, we thought about doing a similar bus tour. And then we decided we wanted to drive around and see, all the sights on our own. And then in 2019, we thought it would be nice to do this bus tour. And it ended up just being a good value. And also, just in case, I'm going to upload part 1 of this video, which is basically me talking about South Dakota and showing you videos I made back in 2012. So this will be part 2 of my South Dakota trip videos. Anyway, so yeah, back to this this bus tour. Even when you go to Mount Rushmore, I believe it's $10 to park. Going to Crazy Horse, I don't know how much the tickets are, but there's a little fee there. There's some fee to drive through the state park. This was not a bad deal, especially when you consider driving. I always think it's a treat when somebody else is doing the driving and I don't have to. So this, we were really happy with this, and we thought it was a good dollar value. You get to Fort Hays in the morning and they have a cowboy breakfast. I think it was pancakes, sausage, coffee. It was a good breakfast. It wasn't Cracker Barrel, but it was still a very, very good breakfast, and I enjoyed it. It's all you can eat. I think even if you're not doing the bus tour, they let tourists come and eat the pancakes for like $1 or something crazy like that. It's something kind of ridiculous, but it was a nice, enjoyable breakfast. Biscuits and gravy, and they had a little guy playing kind of patriotic songs and Old West songs on the piano and singing. It was a really enjoyable morning. And then there at Fort Hays, they actually filmed some of Dances with Wolves there. Some of those buildings were used in the filming of Dances with Wolves. So that was pretty cool too. That's obviously a very significant movie. You get to see some artifacts from that movie. And the village, they had some little kind of reenactors there doing stuff. Just kind of showing how some stuff was done. It was a really nice way to spend a morning before taking off on this bus and going to see the sights around Mount Rushmore. So that was a lot of fun. So we start our bus trip, and Bill's taking us down the road. Also, just so you know, I think some of these video clips might be out of order. If you're obsessed with everything being perfect, I just wanted to point that out. So I wanted to mention too, and I mentioned in my other video, I talked quite a bit about Rapid City and the Hotel Alex Johnson in Rapid City. Rapid City is a neat little town. We were staying there on both of our trips, There's a really nice restaurant there, kind of brew house sort of place. I think it's the Firehouse Brewery. Firehouse. It's called the Firehouse, and you see billboards advertising it way before you ever get to Rapid City. And it's a neat restaurant in an old fire station. And we had a lot of good meals there, had good service. On our first trip there back in 2012, 3 nights in a row we went in there. The first night we went in and I was hearing some really good music. And I thought, wow, where is that coming from? I thought they were playing like some new independent folk singer's album. Just really, really great sounding folk music. And we went around a corner and we realized there was an actual lady playing guitar and singing. And we sat and we listened to her for the end of her set. We probably got to listen to her for about an hour. And her name is Marnie Cook, Marnie. Marnie Cook. She's a local radio personality, I believe a TV personality too, and she plays folk music on the weekends or whenever she has time. And she was incredible. Did a lot of great original songs. Did a lot of good cover songs. Jackson Browne, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Indigo Girls. Just a lot of fun to listen to, and she was really just in tune, doing great versions of those songs. You know, playing for a room of maybe 15, 20 people. And we really enjoyed listening to her after our meal. As she left the stage, I asked her if she had a CD. She wasn't plugging it or anything. She wasn't asking for tips or anything like that. She was just out playing music for the love of playing music. And she did, and I bought her CD, I think, for $10. And we came back the next night, listened to her again. We ended up listening to her just about every night that we were in town, and it was really, really fun. Look her up if you have time. She's a bit reclusive, doesn't have much of an internet presence, and I think she mostly just plays around the Rapid City area. But I'm so glad that we got to catch her at the Firehouse. I didn't get to see her when we went in 2019. I know she wasn't playing at the Firehouse because we went there and had several meals again. Yeah, try to look her up if you can. There's some great regional music. Also, at the Hotel Alex Johnson, they gave us coupons for a free appetizer or a half-off appetizer at the Firehouse. Again, the Hotel Alex Johnson was just a good, generous place to go. Lots of history. They gave me a little printout, kind of a sheet about their ghosts that they have there too. I thought that was pretty cool. And they actually have like a ghost hunters package. You know, if you're interested in the whole ghost thing, they have like a couple of rooms that are supposedly haunted and that sort of thing. So, you know, for a few extra bucks, you can stay in one of their haunted rooms and you get some extra... there were some extra amenities or something you get with it. But that was something definitely worth checking out. Also wanted to mention, you know, on the last video I mentioned our drive to and from South Dakota. And I wanted to talk just a little bit about Nebraska. Again, I know we're in South Dakota and you're looking at South Dakota, but Nebraska is just personally a state that I've been in love with for a long, long time. Back in college, when I was going to Berea College here in Kentucky, we had short term. And that was basically you went to school for the first semester, and then in January you took one class and focused on it, and then second semester started in February. It was kind of an interesting way just to take one focused class and to really indulge in it. So one thing you could do with a short term is you could trade out with another school that had a short term. So back when I was going to Berea, I called around and I ended up trading out with a school in Fremont, Nebraska, Midland Lutheran College. By the way, there's Bear Country, USA. I'm going to talk more about that later. I made a video as we drove through there. That ended up being a great thing to see while we were here. So more on that later. But yeah, so anyway, in college I spent 1 month, January, in Fremont, Nebraska. Great place to spend January, Nebraska. It's very snowy. For fun, we would go out and watch cars slide down the icy, snow-covered roads. Anyway, I went to Nebraska for that month and just thought it was a great state. It was a neat little school. Just had a really good experience in Nebraska, and I enjoyed it a lot. Long story short, my future wife was still going to Berea, and we really missed each other while I was in Nebraska, and then we started dating right after I got back. So, yeah, Nebraska is just a special place for me, and I think a lot about it. So on both of our trips, 2012, 2019, as we drove to South Dakota, we stopped in Nebraska, and we spent a little time back in Fremont and in Omaha. Great restaurant chain that I like out there, Runza. Man, that's such a cool fast food but regional chain. They serve these, they kind of bake meat and onions into the bread, and it's kind of like a hamburger burrito kind of thing. It's, hamburger flavored, but it's a neat little food, and I like that chain a lot. So, back to Nebraska. Even back when I went to college there for that month, a friend of mine, Andy Taylor, he had just graduated from Berea and moved to Nebraska, and he came and picked me up one weekend, and we went and we hung out in Omaha and had a great time. We went to Old Market and just kind of their artsy, neat shop little part of Omaha. Lots of neat shops in kind of an old building area. Really, really cool. And I think a lot of other towns have similar. I know like in Cleveland we had Coventry. Lexington has Limestone.
I'll have to do that on the way back today. Coming up over here on my right, my favorite place to bring kids during the school year, Old McDonald's Farm.
Yeah, so we were down there in Omaha and just had a good time. I found some great record shops. Found some nice bookstores. So again, in 2012, 2019, we come up, we're driving through, we stop in Omaha, and we go to their Old Market area. It's a nice restaurant, Twisted Fork. I like that place a lot. Really good bookstore there. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I had a couple of good finds there. But yeah, just have a lot of love for Omaha and Fremont and Nebraska. So we stopped there on both of our trips and just think the world of Nebraska. We also stopped at the Corn Palace both times that we drove up to Mount Rushmore. The Corn Palace is it's in South Dakota, and it's just it's a palace made out of corn, and they redecorate it every year with designs on the sides and the fronts, and they decorate it with a theme using corn. It's something odd, it's something unique. They literally built this to bring in tourists, and it's very successful. It's definitely one of the things you stop and see on your trip to Mount Rushmore. And when you get inside, it's a high school gym. Literally, the local high school plays their games inside of the Corn Palace. How cool is that, though, to be on that team? To be in that little town and be playing your high school games inside of the Corn Palace. I just thought that was really cool. And back to Rapid City a little bit. Rapid City is just a fun town, too. And it's maybe 20 miles or so from Mount Rushmore. Again, I mentioned we stayed at the Hotel Alex Johnson. Lots of fun shops, lots of fun things to do in Rapid City. It's just a nice little town. We, in addition to the firehouse, there's a great antique mall there. Had some great finds. I can't think of the name of it. Several good bookstores walking distance from the Alex Johnson. Little bookstore called Mitzi's, which is a new bookstore kind of place. It's not a new and used bookstore. It's more of, they have newer stuff, but it was really well laid out. It's small, but they've got like a second floor. It's just very classy, very cozy. If I lived in town, I would be hanging out there all the time. Just a neat bookstore. And then they had a used bookstore called Again Books, and I had some great finds there too. I bought a signed copy of one of the Images of America series books on Rapid City, and I was just really, really happy to pick that up. That was obviously just a great find and something neat to find on this, a nice souvenir to get on this trip. Also, in Rapid City, they're famous for having statues of all the presidents, which is a really cool sister attraction to Mount Rushmore. That's a cool secondary thing to see if you're going to be going out to Mount Rushmore anyway. Just roughly, they have a statue of every single president, one on every corner for, within a certain boundary. When we were there I believe we were there in September 2019, they had just put up the Obama statue. So that was cool. It's kind of out by itself. We took some photos with it. It's a funky little statue. I would say that they're all slightly taller than life size. That's pretty epic, having a statue of each president in a town. And they have a visitor center that you can go to. And they have, smaller models of the statues, and they have some information about each president and about their statues. When we first went there in 2012, we went to this visitor center. There was a guy named Richard working there who was just great. And like us, he appreciated the history of the presidents. He was a big fan of presidents, and we talked to him for quite a while, about our favorite presidents and Mount Rushmore, and then about the presidents there in Rapid City. Well, at the visitor center, they give you a little map showing you where all the presidents are located, and they give you, it's kind of a scavenger hunt game where there's a little picture, like maybe a shoe or a hand, on each of the statues. Well, you've got to match up that statue with the president. So, as you're going around looking at all the president statues, you've got to look at their hand, their feet, something they might be holding, and then you write down to the corresponding picture which president statue that is. Well, me and my wife, we got there and we thought, well, that's kind of cute. But, it was, one of those things like, yeah, this is more of a kid's game. But we literally wanted to go see each of the president's statues, so we walked around and we started going, oh, well, that, this is Kennedy's, this is Kennedy, this is Lincoln. So we started filling out the little card for the scavenger hunt. And it might have taken, I don't know, an hour and a half. But we filled out the card and we took it back to Richard. And yeah, we got a prize. And it's nothing you can sell on eBay for hundreds of dollars, but I think my wife she got some ice cream that they sold there at the visitor center, and I got it was like a 12-ounce bottle of cola with one of the president's pictures on it. It was pretty cool, actually. I've still got, I think I took the label off and put it in my scrapbook, but it was kind of a neat little prize to go along with finding all those, especially if you were a kid and you're there in Rapid City, you do the scavenger hunt. I know me, if I was a kid and I won a bottle of pop, I'd be pretty happy about that. I would think that was pretty cool. And then also at that gift shop, I think they sell a postcard. You can actually buy a set of postcards of each of the presidents. So that's pretty neat that they've added that they've got those statues in town. We really thought that was cool. Another business that we found in Rapid City that we liked a lot is Mary's Mountain Cookies. It's a cookie place, like a gourmet, super special cookie place. It's right across the street from the Alex Johnson. And we just kind of went in there for the heck of it. And I think they were having a buy one, get one free, or maybe buy two, get one free cookie sale. And we ended up buying, I don't know, maybe 3 or so of their cookies. And they are really special. I've not had anything like them. Very sweet, very good. One cookie. Like if you've got three buddies with you, you could all share one cookie and be pretty happy. At least, most of my friends I think could. But we ended up. That's kind of become one of our things lately. If a friend has a birthday coming up, or if somebody's helped us out with something, that's one of the regional things. That's one place that we've ordered from and had them send them. We've ordered like a box of cookies for some friends on their birthdays. It's not cheap, but it's not expensive for what it is. When you get a box of their cookies, you've gotten something really special. That was a neat place we liked. There was a place called Armadillo's Ice Cream Shop. It was about a 10-minute walk from the Alex Johnson. It was a local kind of place that you could tell locals went to, a little bit off the beaten path for the tourists, but they had really good ice cream, and it was just a good, clean place with a really friendly staff, just really, really nice, and we thought a whole lot of that place. Another place we liked in town a lot was Black Hills Bagels, and if you're driving around town, they have a really cool logo. It's a rodeo cowboy riding a bagel. And it is it's just a cute logo. In fact, I went in because I was hoping to buy a t-shirt. They did not have any shirts my size. And it's such a cool logo, and it's colorful, and you see it from the street. And you just go, wow, that is one cool logo. I'd love to have a t-shirt with their color logo on it. They had some kind of black and white, one color silk screen shirts that were still pretty cool. I would have bought one if it was in my size, but they didn't have any in my size. I would have loved to have bought some of their stickers. They need to have stickers. They need to market that logo on stickers, because that would be one cool sticker, and I love stickers. But they did not have stickers. We did end up getting bagels there, though, like some bagel sandwiches, and they were darn good. I had a pizza bagel sandwich, and it was so good. They nailed it. I mean, it was just so perfect. So if you're in town, go there and get a bagel. Another place that I liked a whole lot was Harriet and Oak Coffee. Just, me, before I go to a place, I will scout around and try to find a cool independent coffee shop. Harriet and Oak Coffee was the place. There were a couple of others in town that we stopped by, and they were okay. But this one was really, really nice. My wife had oatmeal there in the morning. By the way, right there, you're seeing kind of the first glimpses. Well, I lost it. You're seeing the first glimpses of Mount Rushmore as we're coming up on it on the bus tour. And it always looks cool from a distance. It's just special seeing it as you're coming up on it. Yeah, there you can kind of see it reflected in the glass there. I like that. But yeah, Harriet and Oak Coffee. Really, really cozy independent place. They had like a little van inside of it. It's very unique, well made, obviously clean. They obviously care about making a quality product. Had good coffee there too. A lot of places don't get their coffee right, but they did. Also, there's an old historic theater in town, Elks Theater, and it's just kind of a nice old movie theater. It's been there for a while. They've kind of got some historic displays inside, and we went there one night and we saw, I can't think of the name of the movie. It was the one about the guy driving the race car and he has a pet dog. And I know a lot of people loved that movie. We did not care for it. God, I hate a movie about a dog where you treat your dog better than family. To me, a dog is, you treat your dog like it's something very, very special. In fact, my dog Mia, my little black chihuahua, is sitting right here next to me as I'm talking. And to me, she is almost supernaturally special. And I just didn't feel like that little family was as good to their dog as they should have been. Yeah, and of course, you know what happens. Any movie about a dog, you know what happens at the end. But we did not care for that movie. But I loved that theater. And next time in town, I would go back there just to check out a movie, because it was just a cool old historic movie theater. really, they had one guy running the place too, and it was, we went like on a Tuesday during the middle of the day. We'd done a lot in the morning, and we had some stuff to do that evening, and we thought, yeah, we can take in a quick movie. So we went at a time when nobody else was there. There was one other couple in the theater in addition to us. And there was one guy kind of manning the concession stand in the ticket booth. And he was super nice. And, I mean, you could tell that the young fella there working cared about his job and cared about movies and working at an old theater. Just really, really cool. I can't think of the names of them, but there were a couple of other cool shops in town. Kind of a regional hipstery kind of store across from the Alex Johnson that sold stickers and I think some local music CDs. But yeah, just right around the Alex Johnson, that's a fun area. That's definitely a town that I could move to if I needed to. Like, that's one I wouldn't mind retiring there. I mentioned that to my wife, and she brought up winters because they can have some rough winters up there, and that is an excellent point. An excellent point. But yeah, I think I could handle it, especially maybe after I retire. And I think that would be a good town to kind of hang out in. And we're coming up on kind of the Mount Rushmore, where you enter Mount Rushmore here. I know Bill lets us off, then he goes and parks the bus. A couple of things about the Fort Hays Dinner Show people. Bill took us here. He drops us off, tells us how much time we have. And we had not as long... We didn't have as much time here as we did in 2012 because they had some of the areas kind of blocked off because they were doing some construction. We still had plenty of time to go in, get our pictures, look around, enjoy being at Mount Rushmore, and go through the gift shop. One of the few little upsells you could do with these Fort Hays guys, though, for $20 they would take a picture of you in front of Mount Rushmore. They had a lady, I forget her name, but she was awesome, and it was $20. I think we got 2 8x10s and maybe 2 5x7s. But she had a little spot that she knew of, and she took everybody over to the spot. And she sort of politely asked anybody that might have been behind you to kind of move back. She took and by the way, there was a profile view of George Washington that you can see towards the bottom of Mount Rushmore. Bill took us over that too, just kind of as a bonus trip. But this lady who was taking our picture at Mount Rushmore, she took this wonderful photo of us in front of Mount Rushmore, and if you saw that picture, you would think we were the only people at the park. And she totally just got that angle where you don't see any of the construction stuff, you don't see any other people. It was the perfect photo. And we paid $20 for it, and it was absolutely worth it. Just a great photo. We gave one to my mother-in-law, and we have one hanging up in our bedroom. We took some pictures of ourselves there too, but sometimes, $20 for that, yeah, I'm in. I'm totally in for that. Of course, we're leaving Mount Rushmore right here. We're driving around some more on some of these kind of corkscrew roads through the area. Bill's doing a great job of driving. Wanted to mention, and I mentioned this in the last video too, that one of the last workers who worked on Mount Rushmore, Nick Clifford, died back, I think, at the end of 2019. And he used to be at the gift shop signing books and talking to people as they come by and visit. And that's just a great thing. I think people don't get that when you go to the national parks, every one of the rangers there knows a lot of the history. They know about what you can see and do in the area. Every one of them is a treasure, an absolute treasure. But some of them have such a personal connection to the park. It's really, now obviously Nick wasn't a ranger, but he was just hanging out there. Another kind of back view of Mount Rushmore there. And then we're going through some of the tunnels. And these tunnels get tighter and tighter. And Bill really plays it up and has a lot of fun with us going through these really tight-fitting little tunnels. But yeah, Nick Clifford was at the gift shop both times that we were there and selling a book, signing them. He sold the book for $10 and bought a copy both times, and I'm glad I did. Glad I got to meet him. I'm glad that my life got to intersect with his life at some point. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we're going through one of these tunnels, and Bill is really playing it up, talking about how there's not much room on either side, and okay, we come out, everything's good, but that's not going to be the last tunnel we go through. A couple other things that here's another tunnel. We actually get out of the car and go in here and take some pictures. This was another treat, and Bill obviously, I'm sure he does this every day or several times a week anyway. But he kind of helped us park in a safe spot, and took our large group into these tunnels to get some great photo ops. And this was just a lot of fun. Yeah. Anyway, near Mount Rushmore, there are several tourist caves, and I love show caves. Love going to them. And on our trip in 2019, one of the main reasons we went back in 2019 was because in 2012 we did not go to Wind Cave or Jewel Cave, two national park caves within an hour or so of Mount Rushmore. We did not go to those two parks. We went to Wind Cave, I believe, towards the end of the day, but they weren't doing any more tours for the day, and we just kind of walked around the park a little bit. But to me, we did not go to either of them. So in 2019, I wanted to go back and visit both of those caves. Well, this was before the pandemic. Both of those caves ended up being closed to tourists because they were both having elevator issues. So we again did not get to visit either of those caves. We went to another cave. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Rushmore Cave. And it was closed. They literally had a sign out front that said closed due to not having enough staff. So we totally struck out on caves on this trip. But we went to Big Thunder Gold Mine, which wasn't that far off the beaten path. And it was an old gold mine. It was tunneled out where people had mined for gold. They found, I believe our guide told us, they found 2 ounces of gold during the entire time that gold mine was open. But it was still fun going through. Just had a good time. We had a great guide. His name was Jerry, and man, was he fun. He pointed out to us as we got to the gift shop that we could look across the street, and if you looked up, you could get a small but a good and a different angle view of Mount Rushmore. And that was just a lot of fun. That was probably enjoyed that as much as I would have enjoyed touring any tourist cave. So yeah, Big Thunder Gold Mine, they get a big endorsement from me. Also, we went to the Borglum, I think it's the Rushmore Borglum Museum, and it's a museum devoted to Gutzon Borglum, who created Mount Rushmore. They did not allow photos or video inside the museum, but it was still definitely worth checking out. They had some of his personal stuff, some original pieces of Borglum's, and it was a lot of fun. Enjoyed that a lot too. I mentioned in the previous video that Borglum sculpted a set of 4 bookends, one of each of the presidents, and he made molds of them, and he would give those bookends to his friends at Christmas. And now, at the gift shop at Mount Rushmore and at the Borglum Museum, they sell those bookends. And I couldn't afford them back in 2012, and on this trip, I actually saved a little money specifically I bought a Teddy Roosevelt and an Abraham Lincoln. And those are just I love books, I love history, and I'm really, really happy to have those 2 bookends. They don't sell the actual bookends he made, but they told us they used his molds to make those bookends, and you can buy those at the Borglum Museum. And I bought those 2 there, and they're a really nice lady working the place. helped me box them up, and she packaged them up real nice for me so they would survive the trip. And I'm happy I got them home. I picked out some postcards too, a few other little knickknacks there, and she kind of threw those in. So I felt like I got a good deal too. But yeah, so the Borglum Museum. Right by the Borglum Museum, there's Dahl's Chainsaw Art. Dahl's, Dahl, I don't know if that's Dahl's or Dahl's Chainsaw Art. And they do some great chainsaw sculptures. And that was something really cool to see too. And I mean, you'll see it from the road as you're driving through. But that was a lot of fun. Going through another tunnel here. We're all sucking our stomachs in as we go in. Pretty tight squeeze. Yeah, there's Mount Rushmore again. All these tunnels are designed to where you sort of frame up Mount Rushmore and get a good view of it as you go through. You probably knew that though. But yeah, we're going through another tunnel here. It's another tight squeeze. It will not be the last tunnel we go through. Also, on this particular bus tour with the Fort Hays people, the good Fort Hays people, we met several just other travelers that were really, really nice. There was a couple from New Jersey named Jack and Linda. She was from Texas. I think he was might have been from Kentucky originally. She was from Texas though, and actually had ties to LBJ and some of the other sites we've seen in Texas, and they were a lot of fun to talk to. They were actually going to be at the World Trade Center on 9/11. And man, we just had a great talk with them. I meant to give them my business card before this trip was over, and then we just, kind of parted company. The night ended and everybody went home, and I didn't see them again. But yeah, they were a lot of fun to talk to. A young lady named Brandy from West Virginia was traveling on her own, and just liked to take trips. And we were talking to her a lot about road trips and traveling. And just talked to several really cool people on this trip. That's Coolidge and a couple other presidents used this as a summer White House. We had lunch there on this day, and that was a lot of fun. Another great presidential stop as we visit presidential sites when we can. Wanted to mention too, before I lose my voice, and as this video kind of winds down, I wanted to mention that the bus tour actually included, they had the cowboy breakfast in the morning, and then they had like a cowboy dinner that evening. So we went back to Fort Hays, and they gave us each a tin plate. We went through a line. You got a baked potato, maybe a barbecue sandwich. They had a nice little dinner for you at the end of the bus tour, with a biscuit and some sort of cake. It was a really nice dinner. It was cowboy themed, so you're sitting at dinner tables. Again, it's not it's not the fanciest dinner you've ever had, but it was a very, very nice dinner, and it kind of went with the theme of the day. It was a very satisfying dinner. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I would definitely go back for the food. But they give you the dinner, and then you sit down at these picnic tables, and then they have a band come out. I think it was a 5 or 6 piece band for, I don't know, probably a little bit over an hour. They played some, great tunes, and that was a lot of fun. They had a really good fiddle player, a couple guitar players, drummer, bass, actually a couple fiddle players, and they all switched instruments. They were obviously really talented musicians, doing cover songs, the kind of cover songs you would expect. But they were a lot of fun, and it was just a really nice way to end the day. At the end of this video, I'll probably try to include a short clip. I didn't videotape them long because I didn't want to, recording performance art and all that. But they were a really fun musical group. It was just a great way to end this fun day. Really, really adding to the value of what they gave us for we got a lot for our dollars. And then, of course, at the end of the show, they sold. You could buy a DVD of the band performing. You know, they told jokes, they did songs, but you could buy a DVD kind of their performance. And I did want to mention just some of the Native American sites to see up through here, and we saw a couple. We went to Crazy Horse Monument on both of our trips. I videotaped or I recorded a lot of stuff there, so I might just make a whole separate video of that because I really enjoyed that and what's going on there. That's I didn't touch on it hardly at all in this video, but I'll probably put some more up about that. Kind of the Native American response to Mount Rushmore. Who started that? The guy who started that actually worked a little bit on Mount Rushmore. But that's a fascinating topic and subject to get into in another video. But we did see that on this bus trip, and it's a must see when you're in this area. Both times we went, they had Native American dancers, authors, artists. They had a lot going on there. It's a great place to spend a whole day. On the bus trip here, I think we spent maybe an hour there. When my wife and I went there in 2012, we spent several hours. They have a little cafeteria kind of place with a great menu. It's just it's something neat to see, and I'll talk more about that later. One thing that I think is pretty cool, though, is they're still working on it. It's nowhere near completed. They have a thing where they're still blowing up part of the mountain, and lots of rocks fall, and they have a place where you can take some of the rocks from the mountain, and they ask for just like a $1 or $2 donation, so you can take rocks home with you. So in our garden, we've got a few rocks from Crazy Horse Monument, and I think that sort of thing is cool. We've got an actual relic from the place. Another thing, right by Wall Drug, there is a museum dedicated to the Wounded Knee Massacre. And I'm sure most of you have read up, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. That's a story, I've thought a lot about that story over the years. Very, very fascinating. And by Wall Drug, they have a museum, and I think it's maybe $3 or $5 to go there. It's a small museum. Unfortunately, they don't have any relics on display. I believe the guy running the place told me the relics are sacred, and they don't display those, but they do have some signs up talking about what happened. I personally, if I go to a museum, I want to see some relics. I want to see something authentic. I'm not a fan of posters up explaining what happened. I can get that from a book. But they still did a very nice job of interpreting what happened at this museum. Unfortunately, the museum is not very close to where the actual massacre happened, because it's near a much more touristy area. And we toyed with trying to go see where the massacre happened. It was a good deals out of the way, though. It would have. And by the way, here's another little needle tunnel coming up that's going to be a very tight fit. In fact, I'll probably start talking so you can hear Bill do his whole thing when we get up here. But anyway, we toyed with going to Wounded Knee just to go there and experience it. It's definitely somewhere I want to go at some point. I'll have to hit that on another trip. But I know as you read about, especially going to the Wounded Knee site, a lot of people suggest not going there just because it's out of the way, and there's I think a lot of poverty in the area. If you look at TripAdvisor and some of the websites, they actually say that there's people that almost try to harass you to sell stuff to you. So I'm curious to see that one day. But we just didn't go on this particular trip. But I did ask a lot of people, a lot of locals, if they had been there. And I got a lot of different answers about what they thought about it and about whether or not we should go. We ended up not going just because time and everything didn't allow for it. But yeah, it's definitely something I want to see at some point. If you've been there, I'd love to hear from you. just curious what others think about it and about going there. So, yeah, so anyway, yeah, in a nutshell, thank you if you've listened to me talk through both of my videos. I'm going to kind of wind it down here and let Bill take over. He's about to go through this very, very tight tunnel, and he has a really, really good time toying with the people on the other side of the mountain here. And again, I was laughing so hard I literally was crying. Yeah, Bill just gave me about one of the best laughs I've had in years. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Feel free to go to my blog, KentuckyTravels.blogspot.com, and I'll see you soon.
I pulled up there too fast one time and hit the brake and heard about 6 cell phones hit the floor. Okay, I do need to back up, straighten it up a little bit. You guys let me know when I get over the edge back there, will you? Am I getting close yet?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, look up there.
And where's that?
They're waiting for us?
And he's got the picture for it, too.
I think they're taking bets.
They don't believe people. I don't know. How much room do we have?
I'm going to back up straight one more time.
They probably think he's doing 20 times.
How am I doing back there?
I bet if you walk to the end down there and get $20 bets, you could probably make a lot of
I
money.
could probably, get maybe 10% of the purse or something like that.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know, folks. I'm up to this today.
Let's go.
We got anybody? Well, these folks may want to come around. Let's, yeah, I feel like I have another Maylock's moment coming here. Okay, let's see.
They're free.
They're going. A little doggy.
And we do want the people that are out front of the tunnel to know who they're dealing with here on this side. I'm not just any driver. I'm a professional student driver. Professional student driver.
Yes.
I want everybody to know this. Okay. Alrighty. And we're getting ready to hit this tunnel. You ready? Yeah. Okay. Student driver sign goes in the window. And I'll put my Maylock's bottle right next to it. Okay.
Here's another car.
Here we go. Oh, we got another one coming?
Sitting there waiting, yeah.
Is he coming?
Yeah, they're coming. Now he's stopping.
Now he's stopping. Okay, well, here we go. Okay. Now the goal is still to keep the mirror off the wall.
About the window.
Oh, look at this. There are a lot of folks up there, aren't there?
Yeah, they're all taking pictures.
Good. Wow, Zowie. I had a guy come in here one time with a camera that had about a 16-inch lens on it. Want to take a picture of the bus going by. Are you an amateur? Wow. Look at all the people. My goodness. I'm not sure I can get through. Or get out. Gotta go this way a little bit. Is that right? Almost a touch. I don't want to touch it. That's pretty close, isn't it? Wow. Okay. Look at all of them. Hey guys. You want to have some fun? Yeah. Watch this. Watch. I'm going to take it and put it in neutral, okay? Buzz is in neutral. And I'm going to hit. Oh no. I'll throw my flashers on. Oh man. Oh, I can't believe this. Oh man. Oh, can't. Oh no, this can't be. I can't believe this. Oh man. Oh guys, I think I'm having a heart attack. You see anybody up there calling 911? All right. Here we go. We're coming. We're coming.
It was amazing.
I almost touched over here. I've got to go that way. This thing is shrinking. Yeah. You know, I tell the kids that I come through here with that this is a magic tunnel. It's not just a sparkly in the rock. This is a real magic tunnel. That people that drive Winnebagos in here, they come out Airstreams on the other side. And somebody asked me how often I do this, how often do I drive this tunnel? I go through this tunnel 3 times a day. Yeah, once for real and twice in my sleep. Oh, I gotta get my hat back on. I can tell the photo op's coming here. All right.
They do that hands-free thing.
Jesus, take the wheel. No, to act like the yellow submarine. Yeah. All right. Look at this. Hey. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Boy, that's close.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Hey, lady, come here a minute. Yeah, come here. I think I've lost my way here. I think I've lost my way. Is this the way to Mount Rushmore? It is. Thank you. Okay. Great. Yes.
He's the
Yeah, look
funnest.
at this. Well, I could really, I could crunch that car right there. I could really crunch that one on that side. Okay, folks, over here on my left up high is the Needle's Eye Rock. Okay, people come up here and they take a picture of that rock and they take movies of the bus going through the tunnel. Okay, looks like I'm good there. Good there. All right.
Standing there.
That was working for us.
Oh yeah. Looks like we've made it.
You're not too impressed, so.
Yes.
Won't even wait.
Yeah, we're kind of close. Okay.
What'd she say?
She said her folks are helping.
We're waiting.
Okay. I don't either.
Maybe the traffic light down.
Yeah, it could be. Yes. Thank you. Sometimes the hardest part is getting past the cars, you know, once you get out. Okay.